Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Steve, Travelling Irishman. So this is a different sort of video. So I haven't really explained myself fully as to why I decided to come back. I know I've done bits and pieces, but I've had a lot of time to think about everything now. Before saying anything, I had a great time. At a time of my life, it was such a big thing to do, travelling for 6 months across Europe and going around all those countries, and I learned a lot of stuff about myself, and fantastic. So this is not meant to be a negative video, but what it is, it's a list of things that were definitely contributing factors for me deciding that full-time van life wasn't for me. That's it, that's basically it. But what an experience, you know. What a fantastic time. And my plans now, my future plans are evolving, and I'm really excited about that. My van is now up for sale. It's been up for sale 2 days, a couple of phone calls, not much else, so touch wood. Someone comes along in the reasonable near future who wants to buy it. Alright, so remember, this is not a here's what I hate about Europe list. These are just things that contributed to me deciding the things I didn't really feel good about or comfortable with, which were part of why I decided to change my plans. Now, I'm going to probably in my next video or my next couple of videos, I'm going to do the opposite. The things I enjoyed about my 6 months, of which there were many more of those than there are negatives in this video. But I'll just start off with a few positives. First of all, the van. I love the van. It's felt like home the whole time I was in it. I've really enjoyed. Also, although this video was about full-time van living not being for me, that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep camper vanning. I'm going to go about it differently, and there's going to be a wee spell in between selling this and my next van as to deciding what I'm going to do, etc. And I'm going to Spain, of which I'll talk to you in a wee bit more detail at another time. You know, I've been so lucky to have been able to do what I did for 6 months, and sort of a wee bit of having the courage to do it, because it does take courage to sell up and go. I've been to places I always wanted to go. Really enjoyed. The things that I liked the most surprised me. Like, my favourite part of the whole journey was Pompeii, the ruins in Pompeii. I don't know what, I went into it and just thoroughly enjoyed being there, and I stayed there a for a bit of the day. So not a negative video, but getting down now to the things that I didn't like about full-time van life. Number one, winter in the van. When I'd be really stupid about this. I just always had it in my head that once you get across to Europe, the continent, as I have in my head, although you know it's winter and it's a bit cooler, I didn't realise it was going to be as cold as it was. It was like freezing and snow and sleet, and I wasn't prepared for it. And these vans, I don't know about the modern expensive ones, but they're not made for living in that sort of temperature. The only way to stay warm all the time would be to keep running your gas all the time, and if you run your gas all the time, you're going to run out of gas all the time. Did that make sense? I think that made sense, didn't it? You can get a diesel heater, but I didn't know about that, so I didn't have a diesel heater. So I was in the cold, basically in the cold for 3 months, and when you're driving, of course, it's fine, and you could start the engine and heat the van up a bit. So that's not like I was sitting here shivering, but it was all work. And every time you went out the door of the van, it's a wee bit like living outside, you know. So I didn't expect that, and I realised that I wouldn't want to go into another winter and still be on the road experiencing that. So it was a good experience, and I did enjoy it, but I would never do it again. One of those things. Number two, I hadn't fully considered the implications of being on my own. I've went on holidays in my life a lot on my own. Go with friends as well, went with girlfriends as well, but in recent years I've been going to Thailand a lot. I go on my own and meet people very easily. I talk to people all the time. But being on your own on that type of trip across Europe and around Europe, and mostly you're in places that aren't touristy, nobody speaks English, or very few speak English, and I got lonely. Is lonely the right word? Bored, maybe? Bored would be a better word. Quite often, through not being able to have a conversation. The whole time, this is the truth, the whole 6.5 months that I was on the road, I didn't have one single full-on conversation with anybody. Not once. just broken English conversations, and I never met anybody English. All these thousands of people from the UK who are living in their camper vans and all around Europe, I didn't meet any of them. Just me. So yeah, that was difficult. I think you'd have to be extremely good on your own. You'd have to really enjoy being on your own. Now, if you're a couple, if there are two of you or more going, I think that would change the whole thing. In fact, nearly everything that I'm going to talk about today, I think if there were two people, it wouldn't have been the points that I'm going to bring up wouldn't have been a big issue. But on your own, it becomes monotonous. Right, number 3. I only did one of these 1, 2, 3, 4 once before, and I got it wrong, so I'm being really careful today. Number 3 surprised me. I love driving. I've always loved driving. I was an engineer for 20 years, and then I decided to change my job, and I became a driving instructor, and I enjoyed teaching, and I don't mind long drives or anything like that. But when I set off initially, again in the winter, and I got to France, and I'm driving through France, you're driving in these massive roads, like motorways that go the whole way through Europe, with some of them 4 lanes, etc., thousands of lorries, bad weather. And I started to worry about what would happen if I broke down here. I would be in so much diffs, you know. I remember the very first time I drove to Leyte, it was dark, and I was on a big road, and I thought, Jesus, it'd be terrible to break down. So I got one of those wee thing in your pit of your stomach, a wee worry, and it never left me. Every time I was going to do a distance, I had it in my head, I could break down, something could happen, and I did end up having a breakdown, and it had nothing to do with the van. Also, a crash, if you get into a crash, what would it do? And that never lifted from me the whole time I was away. Even driving through France on the way home, I had it in my head, God, I'm in the last stage now, and the wee van has never let me down, I hope this isn't the time. And then you're feeling that again. So for some reason, I didn't like that. It would be difficult, you know. You can't speak a language. You're like, if you broke down in Switzerland or somewhere, or France or Bulgaria, going on the phone isn't going to be much use to a garage or whoever. And I had a breakdown cover, and I had to use it once, and they never showed up. The other part of it, is this number 4, or is it still part of this? Alright, this is number 4. Number 4 is the size of the van. European countries and towns and villages in European countries are very old, and that generally means you're going to have a lot of narrow roads, narrow streets, and boy did I get into some awkward situations. There was a couple I didn't think I was ever going to get out of, and people wouldn't help. You know, I remember one of the times I was having to reverse down the street the wrong way, and there was a man stood watching me, and I kept thinking he was going to step out onto the road and say, come on, never did, and then backing out of the street onto the main road where I can't say anything. So I really didn't enjoy getting into towns. There were towns that I specifically wanted to go to, and I went to a couple of them, but I parked outside and took my bike on a big long ride in, but I ended up missing a lot of stuff I didn't see because I didn't want to take the van into the narrow streets. So the moral of that story is that if I was going to do it again, and I will be travelling around Europe at some point again in a van, it'll be a small van, and a van that's easy to park and doesn't really look like a motorhome. Right, number 5, and on a similar topic, wild camping. A big van like this is too conspicuous. Now, you see videos on Instagram of these young beautiful couples parking up and unbelievable scenery behind them and whatever. I think most of those are staged. They're just find somewhere nice. You can't just park anywhere. You have to find the right place to park. And if you are trying to avoid paying and you want to wild camp, you use an app like I used the whole time, was Park for Night. But a lot of the time you're in car parks in reasonably busy areas, and it's amazing, especially when you're on your own. When you park up somewhere you're not 100% sure about it, you eventually turn the lights out to go to bed, and you hear people outside, and you start to worry about, you know, could it be them? Could they be coming to get me? I don't know. You'll notice if you watched all my videos, I wild camped less and less and less as it went on, and ended up paying in motorhome sites and campsites all the time. If you have a small van that doesn't look like a camper van, you can just park at the side of the road. Park at the side of the road, nobody knows you're there. Put up your curtains. But the big van's just too conspicuous for me. And you don't know, I must state, in all the time I was away, not one bit of bother did I have. None, no trouble. So but you didn't always feel safe, you know. And the campsites, obviously you did. Campsites are great that way. You go into a campsite and you'd be worried the last 2 nights because of where you've been staying, and then you go into a campsite and it's like a relief. So didn't like that aspect of it. And I did stay in a few beautiful spots, but they're few and far between. Number 6, and if I was going to rank these in order, I would put this second worst thing and to loneliness, and it is border crossings. I just had such a bad time, and the worst of it happened at the start. So you're driving across. So I went to the border to get into France, no problem. I left France into Switzerland, no problem, and then I was going from Switzerland into Italy, and I'm saying no problem. I got pulled over at both, and they come in and have a look because you're in the camper van. But coming into Italy was a different matter. A rotten lot of people. They helped me. I ended up getting a fine, and it was unfair. I've written now. I'm trying to get my money back. So I dreaded going to the next border post, and I had a hard time again. Just ignorant people, cheeky people, and I experienced one problem or another at most border crossings. I don't understand customs people and why they're allowed to treat people so badly, but they talk to you like you're dirt, as if they're superior to you, and you have to be nice to them, and it's awful feeling whenever they pull you in. On 2 occasions they brought me into an office and got me to bring every penny or euro that I had and put it on the desk, and 4 or 5 of them in the room counting my money, every single penny in front of me, and you couldn't do anything about it. Then I got turned away at Turkey and didn't get my dental treatment done because they turned me away because there was one bit missing from my car tax document, but it hadn't affected at any other border, so I wasn't worried about it, and Turkey turned me away. And you wouldn't believe how nasty they were to me. Because I'd already went into the border, then you had to go up to the next bit and turn, and I went up to the next bit, and the guy, he was so impatient and screaming at me, and another guy ended up coming out and showing me where to go. So that was terrible, and that all happened to me in the first few weeks, so I enjoyed myself. I had a brilliant time and all that stuff, but everything to do with the driving was a bit of a problem, and if you're going to live your life travelling in a van, you don't want to start like that. So number 7, in no particular order, SIM cards and internet connection. So I had to continually get new SIM cards all the time, and it's a pain, especially if you don't want to bring your van into towns. So every time I get into a new country, I had to go searching, find out about SIMs, what's the best deals, bad deals, good deals. A couple of times you end up in 3 different shops and you haven't got what you're looking for. That was difficult. And the other thing is, whenever you park up on campsites as well, you rarely get a good connection, because you need to be just in the right spot. Most of the campsites, their internet's rubbish, and you can really only use it if you go up to the office and sit. Well, someone who's editing videos like me and posting them online, that's no good. So you were just always struggling with having enough data, getting new data, and getting a good connection. So it's very difficult. I think if I was going to do it again, I would really try to understand the devices that are available to you to help you get better internet. I survived, but it wasn't easy, and there were times when all I could do was go into McDonald's and use their internet, and even then quite often they just give you a limited connection, which isn't much use unless you're just looking for an address or something. So yeah, that was difficult. Number 8. Did I lose count? No, number 8. Now, my number 8 could be a wee bit controversial, and it's a very big generalisation, but as you know, I come from Ireland, and the same in the UK. People are very friendly. If you get somebody's eye contact, you smile at each other, you nod at each other. Most people let people out, or if you let somebody out in your car, you get a wee flash to the lights and they let you out. No, that didn't happen. That just didn't happen. The whole way through Europe, I found people to be, I mean, it's different cultures, it's how people are, but again, I'm on my own, and every time I caught somebody's eye contact and you give them a wee smile, they just turn their head away and you feel stupid, and you end up not really having contact with anybody then, not even that sort of basic friendly concept. Now, whenever you start getting into some sort of conversation in a shop or whatever with somebody, I'm not saying people were ignorant or anything, but certainly doesn't seem to be part of the culture around Europe, nodding at people and the odd sort of friendly glance. And when you were driving the car, it's just like a different ethos, you know. People would cut you up all the time, and nobody let you into gaps whenever you need out and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't like that. Again, if I was with somebody, maybe I wouldn't have noticed that just as much. But I'm a sort of chatty sort of person, you know, and friendly, and I'd always smile, and I do like to let people out in cars, and I found myself not doing it. I found myself towards the end, and I'm not letting anybody out. Right, so number 9, this would be high up the list. This would be maybe number 3 of 3rd if it was a best of or worst of 10. The condition of roads in a lot of European countries. So southern Italy, a lot of Greece, but Bulgaria and Bosnia, the roads were at times horrendous. Massive, you can see it in my videos. I mean, I talk about it a fair bit in my videos, but massive potholes, and then potholes have been filled in but not filled in very well, and it's all bumpy, and you just find that while you're driving, you're 100% having to concentrate all the time looking for damage in the road. I hit a few, and I don't know how the van didn't actually brake properly, and then one time the van did stop in Greece. I hit a pothole so hard, and it was so deep, and I thought the van was broke. There's one of the videos about it, but what there was, it get hit that hard that the van thought would crashed, and there's a wee safety sensor which knocks the engine off, or knocks the fuel off, so it wouldn't go on fire. But I thought for nearly a whole day that the van had broke, but it wasn't. It was just a pothole. And then again, I got stuck in a hole. I got stuck in a big giant hole. That was sort of my fault, in the middle of nowhere. But again, all these things contribute to making you feel the driving aspect of it is difficult. I had to stop there for a minute. I just got from the van's been up for sale for a couple of days, and there's been really nothing. But now, within about 5 minutes, 2 different people want to come and view it. So, touch wood. All right. So finally, number 10. Number 10, I call same old. You know that feeling where you're just, I got to the point where I was just doing the same thing all the time. It's a bit like a couple of years ago, my sister bought me a drone, and it was brilliant. But you were playing with it, you were putting it up and then eventually get bored and stopped doing it. Now that I use a drone for my videos, I love my drone and it gets used. It's the same for me. I hope that made sense. On your travels, when you're traveling around in the van, and you get to a point where it's the same thing. You have no purpose. The only purpose I had was making videos, and you need that. You need to have targets, things to do, and I was running out of them. So there you go. Turned out to be 10 things. I hope I will count that whenever I put the video together. So I'm going to leave it off there. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up would be great. Hit the wee bell icon if you want to be reminded a bit more, but mainly subscribe. If you haven't subscribed and you're enjoying the videos, please do. It helps the channel. But until next time, bye for now.